House of the Dragon picks up this episode, and I was pretty rough on the last episode, and I'm still kind of rough on the show overall. This episode clearly was just kind of building off the idea that we had at the end of the last episode with getting new Dragon Riders with Rhaenyra, and a little bit of downfall with the townfolk people in King's Landing. And some elements of this episode does work for me. I think, Aemon's character as a whole works for me. I think he's still the smartest one in the whole entire thing. Like, the blockade is the thing. If you can end the blockade, you can bring food in for the people, and you might get people rioting like we have. But because Rhaenyra's, blockading and using the food smartly through Mysaria, it's creating tension with the townfolk and stuff like that. And I think he is making the right moves overall. I think people are questioning him because he's kind of, rash and very upfront per se. Still have issues overall. Rhaenyra's small council, still the same issues. Don't know who they really are besides, exemplifying the sexist man's, character type. You don't really know where they're from. You don't know their motives. They're just really there to tell Rhaenyra no a bunch. This episode, I had hoped we were going to get more into maybe the Lannister side and build out characters a little bit more, but then no. We didn't really do that. So, again, House of the Dragon's pacing and just inability to build out more interesting characters strikes once again. What else can we talk about here? I did enjoy all the stuff with Seaspoke this episode. I mean, it's fairly obvious if you're watching the show who are going to be the quote-unquote new Dragon Riders, potential bastards of the Valyrians or the Targaryens. And the whole chase scene on the island with the one character with the who wants his brother to speak up more with Corlys as his first officer gets on Seasmoke, and I don't know why we left it as a cliffhanger, as if we don't know it's him on Seasmoke. I would have liked that interaction of Rhaenyra and him coming forth at the end of this episode. Instead, we're kind of clip-baiting it in a way where, is the audience supposed to not know who that is? It's like, it's very obvious who that is. Why do you think that's a cliffhanger? But that's an example of characters that could have been building out since last season, or if this was paced a little bit either faster and or wider, they could have been built out better overall. Instead, though, the show we're consistently going back to the same plot lines with Alicent, the same plot lines with Rhaenyra. Both of them are people who aren't being heard by others, and that's very much the tone of the show. And while I get that and understand that, when you get it so much every single week on both sides, it is just stopping the show from progressing into anything interesting. We only get bits and pieces of different things, and yeah. The attack on, Alicent and Helena kind of made sense a bit. I do think they got out pretty easily. A horde like that, I think, would be able to get them. I think the acting from the townsfolk and the effects of that fight and that scene, again, didn't work that well for me. I thought it was pretty amateurish looking and kind of bad look on an HBO Game of Thrones type product. What else can I say? Jace this episode kind of went from always believing in Rhaenyra to questioning her nonstop. His character is whatever they need it to be every single week, and it kind of stops him from growing into something interesting or something better. He's just kind of a nothing. The thing with the veil happening with Rhaena, again, I don't know where it's going, but this is something that I would love to get more into per se, or have a whole episode dedicated to it where we can get early answers of what's going on there, instead of having to consistently go back and forth with the same Rhaenyra and Alicent storyline where it's the same thing happening every single week. It's bland, it's boring, it's poor. It's poorly written. And hopefully we'll see maybe this thing's change. Rhaenyra as a character made another little step. And I think there'll be people who will like, and rightfully so, like the representation between Mysaria and Rhaenyra this episode with their kiss. But for me, it's something that I don't think the show has written well enough for that to happen. I'm saying this as somebody who is a huge, advocate of same-sex representation in TV shows, movies, all of that. It's disgusting how sometimes people push that out of TV shows and movies and say we can't have that because it shouldn't be allowed for the kids, but yet we allow same-sex stuff all the time for the kids. It's in all of their stories, but this felt like a relationship that did not meet that level or warrant that level anywhere at all. And that's just bothering me a bit because I feel like it's just, again, not good writing to push this story forward and to have that be worth what it was meant to be. And then we get to Daemon. Harrenhal needed to be its own solo episode with Daemon not in the whole season because it's boring to see. And even though we get Paddy Constantine and he's a great actor back, and this really has just been Harrenhal as like a way to bring back old people from last season that can't act anymore in the show, it's bled over into an annoying level of where I just don't care about it. I feel like we're neutering, Matt Smith's doing his best acting, but we're neutering the character of Daemon and all interest to it. And it's just a storyline that, when you get it week after week, it's just not great. He really could have used a week or two off, and us to get a full story with that, with maybe paired with what's going on in the Vale. But alas, it's another boring week of Daemon doing that type of stuff. I am coming out overly negative. I mean, the set design works very well. The dragon stuff worked very well. The acting, for the most part, it was better than it was last week. But the writing on this show is just bad. And the pacing on this show is just bad. And we have 2 episodes left, and I think that might be my backing out point, because I'll watch the rest of this season. I'm going to predict that we're going to get some dragon riders, linking up with Rhaenyra at the end, and we're going to get some type of showdown between Aegon and Daemon, where who knows what happens. Maybe Daemon dies, maybe Aemon dies, maybe they both die or can't really do much of anything. I think that's going to happen in the finale. But that's just kind of my thoughts on this episode so far. I'm giving it a low gold. I think if you like the show and you really enjoy all the things about the show, you'll enjoy this episode. But I don't think I'd recommend it too much besides people who are just already watching it. This isn't inspiring television. This isn't even, I think, must-see television. It's just bland, boring, unless you like this type of stuff television, and with good production value. So that's why it gets a gold from me, but yeah. And I'm starting to see people turn on this. I'm seeing more and more people be like, the pacing is bad, things aren't great, the character work isn't bad. So I think people are starting to see what I was preaching at the beginning of the season. And yeah, 2 episodes left, and we'll see where it goes. But that's my thoughts on House of the Dragon. Other stuff you'll expect this week is Deadpool and Wolverine review, as well as Big Brother content throughout the week, and maybe a movie slipped in there somewhere along the line, on the channel for a review. So like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in my next live stream movie or TV show review. Bye.